Hello, my dear children. Let's go to another lesson of human anatomy and physiology that is called as the nervous system. I hope the excretory system was clear to you. All these are the basic lessons which you have studied in your earlier classes. Only thing they are a little bit in an advanced level. Now, basically, let's focus on the nervous system. Now, when we are talking about the nervous system means what actually, right? Now, there are many activities which are going on in your body, right? The digestion process, the excretory process, the respiratory process. So, who is coordinating or who's controlling these processes is the nervous system. And when we are talking about the nervous system, we are also going to study about the endocrine system, that's the hormonal system, in the next lesson. So these two systems are basically, what are they doing? They are coordinating these activities. They are coordinating these activities which are present in your body. So there are a lot of changes, which there some changes are external changes which are going on outside, some are internal changes. So all this is coordinated by the nervous system. Now, every organism must somehow become aware of what is going around and accordingly perform the actions for its survival, right? So that means, for just I'll give you an example. If you are feeling cold, you will go on with some warm clothes, right? So you are adjusting with the environment for the survival. Apart from these actions, that is apart from the external environment, there are internal also. There are so many activities which are going inside your body which you are unaware. So who is coordinating these actions? That's the nervous system and the hormonal system. Now here in the nervous system, we are first going to see why we need a nervous system in our body, right? We need a nervous system. The need for the nervous system is first of all to keep us informed about the outside world with our sense organs, right? We are using our sense organs like our eyes for watching the things around, for tasting the beautiful whatever tasty food which is there. So it keeps us informed about the outside world. Nervous system is needed for remembering, thinking and reasoning out. Now your brain is the most important thing where you are learning things. So who's coming into picture there? Nervous system. Controlling and harmonizing all the voluntary activities like running or even holding the book in your hand while you're reading it is all coordinated by your brain or by the nervous system. Regulating the involuntary activities like the beating of the heart without even thinking about them, right? The digestion process is going on in our body. Do we analyze it? Do we think what is going on? No, but it is actually going on because of the nervous system. Now if I say nervous system, which what are the things that are present in the nervous system? The brain, the spinal cord and the nerve. So in this lesson basically we will be focusing on the central and peripheral nervous system. We have studied about nervous system. There are three different: central, peripheral and autonomous. So we are here going to focus on central and peripheral nervous system. Then the basic and the structural unit of the nervous system is the nerve cell, or what is called as a neuron. So here first of all we are going to see how, what is the structure of the neuron, how the functioning of the neuron is taking place. So nervous system is consisting of brain, spinal cord, sense receptors and a whole lot of nerves. Now brain and spinal cord are made up of nerves, or they are called as the nerve cells, or we also call them as neurons. So basically the structure of the neuron is given over here. So this is how the neuron looks. Okay, you know it very well. You have also studied in your 7th. So there are three different parts. One is cytin, or we call it as a perikaryon, or also call it as a cell body. This is the axon and this is the axon endings of it. So first let us focus on what is cytin. So here three main parts of neuron are there. That's the cell body, then the dendrites and the axon. So cell body we call it as perikaryon or the cytin. This is a well defined nucleus surrounded by granular cytoplasm, and it has cell organelles like other cells. Centrosome is absent in this because neuron cells never divide. Okay, neuron cells never divide as well as they don't die. Okay, now here you can see this is the cell body cytin. It has a granular cytoplasm, it has a nerve cell over here and some dendrites like structures. These are the dendrites. Okay, and there is no centrosome present in the cell body. Then let us see what's the next one. That's the dendrites. Dendrites are nothing but these are the branch cytoplasmic extensions which are coming out of the cell body. So this is the part of it, that's the cell body. The next one is the axon. Now axon, if you see, it's a very long process like from the cell body, and then it is a few millimeters long, and most of the neurons, the axon which is there, it's surrounded by a sheath which is called as the myelin sheath. Okay, this is the myelin sheath. Now what is the function of the myelin sheath? It acts as an insulator. Okay, it acts as an insulator, and this myelin sheath is also covered with the outermost inner sheath, which is called as the neurolemma. So this is the neurolemma, which is covered with the outer sheath called the neurolemma. Then myelin sheath, which is here, it has some gaps in it which are called as the nodes of Ranvier. So these are the extra cells. So nucleus, neurolemma, myelin sheath and nodes of Ranvier are the extra cell coverings from the axon or the neuron fiber. Axons have small side branches called the collaterals. Okay. Then the end portions of the axons have some swollen like bulbs which are there. Okay, these bulbs, we can say that the swollen bulbs have some material chemicals called the neurotransmitters in them. Then axon terminals are closely packed near the dendrites of one another, and neurons are not connected. Such gaps in between are called synaptic clefts. So we can say axons are placed near the dendrites. Okay, so you can see the axons are placed near the dendrites, but we can say that of one or another more of neurons, but they are not connected. So such gaps are called synaptic clefts, which we will be seeing over here. What is actually the synapse? Now there are some basics terms in nervous activity which we need to know, and you already know it. So I hope it's clear. So we studied that the cytin, the axon which is there, and the cytoplasmic extensions which are called the dendrites. Okay, and these are actually the terminal branches. Okay, the endings of it. Okay, and we can say that they have the swollen bulb like thing which have the chemical substance called neurotransmitters. Now first of all, we need to understand few terms in it. That stimulus is nothing but an agent or a sudden change of external or internal environment that results in a change in the organism of any body parts. Example: light, sound, heat, pain and hunger. So stimulus, if I just pinch you, that is a stimulus. Immediately you withdraw your hand, so that is a response which you have given, right? So here, response: change in organism resulting due to the stimulus. You were feeling a pain, you withdraw your hand, so you gave a response to it. Impulse: a wave of irritability, electrical disturbance that sweeps through the nerve cell. That means you had withdrawn your hand, and the signal, from where did you got it? You got it from the electrical impulse. Then receptors, these are specialized epithelial cells which on recovering the stimulus set waves of impulse towards the central nervous system. So receptors are we can say that these are the receiving signals, right? They receive it, specialized epithelial cells which when they receive the stimulus, they will be giving a message to the nervous system. That means, example, there are some receptors which are photoreceptors for the sight, phonoreceptors for the sound, thermoreceptors for the heat, olfactory receptors for smell, and so on, which are present in our sense organs. And the last but not least, that's effector. Effector is a muscle or the gland which, on receiving the impulse from the brain or the spinal cord, contract or secrete certain substances. Okay, so these are some terms which you need to know. So the stimulus, which is an agent or a sudden change in the external or internal environment. Response, the change in the organism because of the stimulus. Impulse, the wave disturbance or the wave of irritability. Receptors, which are specialized epithelial cells which are receiving the stimulus. That's the photoreceptor, phonoreceptor, thermoreceptors. Effectors are glands or muscles which receive the impulse from the brain or spinal cord. Now we are going to see how this transmission of the nerve impulse is taking place. Now you can see here three figures A, B, C. Okay, now here this is nothing but, we can say that in the normal resting, the outside of the nerve fibers, are polarized. They have a positive charge on it. So we can say that this is a resting region or the polarized region. So these are having the positive charge. We can say that these are in the polarized state because of the presence of sodium plus ions outside the axon membrane. Okay, so here we are visualizing this axon membrane. Okay, so here we can say that the outside region or the resting region has positive state, which is it's in the resting region, and these are positive because of the sodium ions. Okay, then on stimulation, now when a stimulus is given, for example, let us say that that there is a pain in the person's hand or something, and he has to withdraw the hand. So how is the impulse being traveled? Okay, how is the impulse being traveled? Impulse is nothing but the wave disturbance, or we can also say that how the signals are reached. Okay, so here what happens on the stimulation, that can be either mechanical, electrical, chemical or a heat. the axon membrane, okay, at that spot becomes permeable. So let us consider this spot. So it becomes permeable, and finally you can see that the sodium ions which are there, they reach inside, they reach inwards, and because of this the polarization is lost. So this is called as the excited region or the depolarization. So positive has gone over here, negative is left out over here. So we can call this state as the excited region or the depolarization. Now the point of depolarization of the stimulus for the next neighboring area, okay, which in turn depolarizes this. So finally what happens, this particular region polarizes this region, so this becomes a recovery region or the repolarization, and this becomes an excited region, okay, and here the resting region. Again, when this is, so what we can say that it is traveling in halves, okay, not even in halves, we can say parts. So here we can say point of depolarization becomes a stimulus for the next neighboring area. So it has reached here. So next again this becomes the excited region, So what is happening here? It's a polarization, resting region, again depolarization. So we can say that here the area became excited, so the previous area is excited, so this becomes the again the sodium ions have become active in the region outside. So, and this transport is achieved what is called a sodium pump by using the ATP energy, okay, through the energy which is ATP. So conduction of the nerve impulse is a wave of depolarization first, followed by the repolarization. So depolarization, repolarization. So I hope you are understanding what is actually taking place near the axon membrane. This outside it's positive because of the presence of sodium ions. Then when a stimulus is given, we can say that these sodium ions get inwards, okay. So we can say that this becomes an excited region. Then this excited region polarizes this region, so we can say that this region becomes excited. Meanwhile, the previous area becomes repolarized because of the active transport of sodium ions to the outside. This particular thing is achieved by the sodium pump. So we can say that the conduction of impulse is a wave of depolarization followed by repolarization. Now this is not at all you cannot compare this with the impulse of the electricity, okay, because we can say that the nerve impulse is in a nerve fiber with the flow of electricity. We cannot compare it. Why? Because what is happening in electricity, there is a flow of electrons, right? There's a flow of electrons along the wire, whereas neither any substance nor any electrons or ions are moving in this. It's just the part by part things which are moving, so we cannot compare it with the flow of the electrons. Then speed of electricity and speed of nerve impulse. Electricity is conducted through a wire of the speed of 1,50,000 km, while nerve impulse travels at a maximum speed of 100 meters per second only. Then let's see what's actually called as synapse, which we were seeing. What synapse is together gap or the window. So this is the point of contact between what, the terminal branches of the axon of one neuron with the dendrites of the other, with a small fine gap. So here you can see that for example, if this is a particular neuron, okay, if this is a neuron and that neuron's dendrite is joined with another's impulse, so I'll just draw a figure to show you how it is, just randomly. For example, just give me a second. For example, if this is the we can say that these are the terminal branches. So this terminal branches is joined, okay, this terminal branches is joined with another neuron. So say for example this is the axon, just randomly, this is one neuron, this is the second one. So the point of contact between them is called a synapse or the synaptic clefts. I hope you are clear with what is it's actually. So synapse, we can say that as a synapse, the nerve impulse will be jumping to the next neuron, and this is a chemical process. And as I told you, the terminal branches have neurotransmitters in them. As the impulse which is reaching the terminal end of the axon, a chemical called as acetylcholine is released, and the chemical sets the impulse in the dendrites of the adjacent one. So as soon as we can say that the impulse will be reaching here, a chemical is released which is called as acetylcholine, and then we can say that the chemical sets a new impulse which is given to the adjacent neuron, and this chemical is again next broken down to make the synapse ready for the next transmission. So this is all about the synapse. Then we have three different types of neurons which are there, with the sensory neuron, which is carrying the impulses from the receptor, that is from the sense organ to the main nervous system. Motor neurons carrying the impulse from the main nervous system to the effector, and association, which is located between the brain and spinal cord, which are interconnecting the sensory and the motor neuron. So you can see in the figure also, this is the sensory organ. So dendrite from the receptor, the direction of the impulse, okay. This is a cell body, or this is the association neuron. Association neuron is the located between brain and spinal cord, and then you can see that this is the motor neuron. Three types of neurons. So you can see motor neuron, you can see sensory neuron. Sensory neuron will be carrying the impulses from the receptor to the main nervous system. Association neuron, it will be located in the brain and spinal cord, which are connecting sensory and motor neuron. Then motor neuron will be carrying it to the muscle or the gland. So motor neuron carries it from the nervous system to the effector, which is the muscle or the gland. So these are the three types of nerves, okay. Sorry, the neurons. Now we are going to see nerves and the types of the nerves in the next session. So I have taken you through the nervous system. Why is the need of nervous system? We also saw the structure of the neuron in details, and how the transmission of the nerve impulse takes place, as well as synapse and the three types of neurons. So please go through it. Thank you, children.